Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to check if I'm going to have some viewers around. I don't find many, so we'll wait for another 2 or 3 minutes and see um, how many viewers we have, and based on that, we can go ahead and take up the session. Oh, I have 36 viewers. Yeah. 94, yeah, 84. Yeah. It's such a joy to see you all today. I've gone to school, and when I saw all those bare walls and empty classrooms, I was really taken aback to see the school so empty. It has been a hectic day for me, but I'm so very happy to come and meet you this evening, because there'd be a lot of things that we could talk about today, and I know you have had so many doubts, and all those doubts will be clarified. I'll just wait for another 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and I want to see people who are joining. I have 309. I'm expecting a 1500 today, and even if I don't see those many people on live, I'm still going to take up the session, but just give us another 2 minutes time to see if some more are joining. Chidan, are you happy to see me? Yeah, I know. Grade 2 must be shouting, yeah! I missed all those hugs, children. I missed all those shouting and calling me, Sharmila ma'am. I was walking through an empty school the whole day. We as a core team, we went there. Shilpa ma'am, Anjali ma'am, all of us, your Deepta ma'am, Suvarna ma'am, Kavita ma'am, Kanchana ma'am, all of us, we were there in school from, say, like morning 9 o'clock to almost like 1:30. We were there at school getting some things done for you. And yes, it was really a very sad moment to see that there is an empty place all around. The walls are like bare. Whatever that you have done during the month of Jan or so, they're still lying on the walls. There is no freshness. Until you come back and start occupying your classes, I don't think the school is going to be a school. And I'm waiting for that moment. Yeah, how many?
462.
462. I have 510. Okay, I think it's time that we start off. I wish there is everybody today in this session, but then probably each one is going to join a little while later. Hello and a hi to everybody. I'm once again back through this media, and this is something new for me, where I'm sitting live, and it's as if like I'm talking to some of my parents there, some of my little children there, and my little hugs to my little children, and my warm wishes to all the parents this evening. Yes, we all know that life is a journey, and there are junctions that are worthwhile waiting and capturing some of those most precious moments of life. Here in this time, we are in a dilemma. If we have to say, like, during this uncertainty moments, if we want those moments to be captured, because surely and definitely we have learned our life lessons. There is no doubt about it. Yes. But for me, it is like this. I would want to let go what I have seen for the last 2 months, and then look forward in faith, and to see what is in store for us. That is my way of thinking it, and let's hope for the future, which is going to be favorable and conducive for normalcy. That's what I'm waiting for. We as a family are praying for each one of you out there, and it's an incessant prayer that we are having for all of you. Today it's going to be a little longer than with the before ones. It's not just a 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It's going to take a little time for me to talk to you about so many things that you guys were talking about, and what we have prepared for the little children, and it's going to take a little extra time, so please bear with me and continue with me till the last point of mine, because sometimes Shilpa and Anjali keep mentioning that they get the same questions again and again. It is not that if you don't want to answer those questions, but then sometimes it seems like, for some of us, like, "Arey, we just answered this question and we get back the same question." And it's just not once. Out of 1,500 parents, like, we might have, like, at least 500 same kind of questions. So we wanted to take this media, and this is the first time that I'm doing a live. It's like as if I'm giving a speech to all of you, but then I'm not wanting to give you a speech, but then just listen carefully of what we are trying to. If you want, you can make notes of it. Parents, surely you deserve a big appreciation, a pat on your back, I should say, because it was just not COVID-19 situation that you have gone through. There were secondary issues that have erupted all of a sudden, and none of us was prepared for it. And for some, it might be working from home, and for others, some of them who had lost their jobs. And there were some more that we have heard of that they have lost their near and dear ones in far off places, and they could not go and see them. And for some of them, lack of those important goods that we need to have, say, we talk about provisions, and some of them were not even having those provisions. And most of you had gone out and supplied provisions to a lot of people outside in our city and the other cities also. We've been watching those videos. But then, yes, all this came all of a sudden. And especially spending in closed rooms, I understand how difficult it was. And absolutely no help of any kind. And on top of all these are children and their future. I know what it is like that you have gone through. But then, you stood strong, you stood united, and you stood as a family, and you have pushed through these prevailing conditions, and you deserve a big round of appreciation, a very, very big round of appreciation. Children, you can clap for your parents, and parents, you can clap for your children. You can do that. And yes, hats off to all of you. Now, when everything is getting back to a new normal, schools are still closed. Worship centers are still closed. Those are the most important parts of our life, I suppose, because how can schools be closed? They are predominantly the unchanging basic requirement of society, just not children. It is a need of the society. And I don't need to explain you the reason. Human beings are social beings. We all know that. And if you think, I alone can survive, I can do better things, it is possible with me. No, it is not like that. Humans are supposed to be in colonies, in communities. It is the most important thing because we are social beings. And coming back, you must be waiting about the most crucial points as to what is going to happen next. Yes, we are there. School has finally taken up online classes because it had no other choice. We tried looking at different things, and we as a family and we as a core team, we were brainstorming if there is anything better that we could do to our little children's schooling for the next 2 months. We know that this is temporary, but then yes, we were thinking if there was anything better than what we were supposed to do, or what we are supposedly about to do, like those online classes. We as a school, we counsel children to read books, play a game, and sit and discuss as small groups, and to avoid phone and to decrease their screen time and spend their time judiciously. We are the ones who had trained them. So we are the ones who counsel them, like not to have too much of a time on WhatsApp or Facebook and all that. But finally, we came back to say, there was one poster that was strolling around children and parents. You would have heard. They said no phone in school. Now they say school in phone. I don't know. It was a heart attack for me when I read that, honestly speaking. While some of us laughed as if it were a joke, it was an agony in my heart because, yes, I was the one who said, not too much of a screen time, children, because I know I called certain children into my own room and then counsel you. But now I'm putting you to screen, which brings about an agony in me. I was thinking as adults, maybe we do need to equip ourselves, for the coming generations that we are about to train, was what I thought. Who had even thought of something like this is going to happen to our society? None of us. And sometimes I during this course of what we have to do, because I was brainstorming with Subbu. This is Subbu's house. I'm sitting in Subbu's house. So we were both sitting at the dining table and we were agonized, he asked me a question which I had no answer. Even to date, I have no answers. I'm breaking my head to answer this question. He said, Mom, you have opened the school for a different purpose altogether. Are you going to serve your purpose giving online classes? I surely had no answer. I'm just going by the trend. I'm just trying to do things that I have to do in this kind of a normalcy again. And I'm not ready for it. I'm a half-hearted person for this, but I'm still doing it. Sometimes I thought, like, are we going to have artificial intelligence teachers in years to come? Probably here I'm going to take a student who had already passed by, Rama Vaishnavi. I'm going to have Rama Vaishnavi, and she's going to have an artificial intelligence teacher right over beside her, like, talking to her and explaining her. I felt like, am I training my children to say that there is no more magic in a human touch? Am I training that? So I have my own doubts. I'm breaking my head. I'm still breaking my head. While I have no answers, I still have to stand by the way I'm standing there. Thankfully, it is just a temporary replacement, and for a much better reason to survive, to have our life being lived for some more years. That is why we have taken this. And we all know that this is neither the end nor the beginning, and change is constant. And we as communities, we love to talk about a lot of things like, that is happening around us. And the news, we have breaking news to break our ears, I suppose. I do not know what it is. But then that is how we make things like, big. And I want you all to calm down for the day and just listen for a little more as to what we are going to do as Cornerstone, I think we did a good job till now, and we will continue to do it. As Cornerstone, with this kind of a scenario or with this kind of a change, we have emerged as better people than ever before. I'm sitting here running Cornerstone and Lily the School for Toddlers for the last 14 years, and I've seen people that I was working with emerging as one of the best set of people once again. While I'm going to announce you the schedules a little while from now on, I would want to bring to your understanding that this has been quite a big shock for the schools and the teachers community too. To be a teacher in is a lifetime process, but then for us to do a teacher's course, it just takes 2 years time. But teachers and in charges, like, with the minuscule time that they were given, they had to take over the adjustment, and not all of them are going to be tech savvy. This is the time usually they gear up and prepare their lesson plans for the year. They prepare their teaching aids, their daily plans, and also have some quality time with their family and have a short vacation with their family. But teams were put to strenuous training with technology this time. Each and every lesson was converted into a PowerPoint presentation. Sitting, which is an unknown position for the teachers, they are back where they are sitting and about to teach for the next 2 months. They are just not used to. Nobody is used to. Until and otherwise they have some kind of a medical issue. My teachers, I'm so very confident about them. They've never sat down in a chair to teach. But today, for the next 2 months, they're going to sit on a chair and talk to my children. That's a new experience for them altogether. But they didn't complain a bit. They worked day and night and prepared their best for their children. Kudos to each one of them. Teachers, a big applause for all of you teachers. And they've never spoken to a camera. Like, at least I am used to it, but my teachers, I know they've never spoken to a camera. Now they're going to speak to a camera. Can you imagine? They don't have children right in front of them. Agony. It is agony. You won't believe it. And it's a training that they had to go. Each one is good with something or the other. They have taken so much of an initiation to do what they're about to do for the next 2 months. You have to believe that our teacher recruitment is one of the toughest ones. All those who applied and are still as parents, you go back and find out from them. It is one of the toughest ones. And people, some of them whom we have rejected, in the process went and joined some of those most corporate schools. Can you believe that? After all, that now the online classes, each one of them have started, each one of them was given, has given a fresh demo to me again. I saw that there were butterflies in their tummies. It's not because they're not good, but they have had to equip themselves for what they're about to do. And I am extremely confident for what they're about to do. And I only plead with you and request you to please encourage each of them while they come and sit on their online classes and not be judgmental about what they're about to do. Children, I'm sure you're going to enjoy these online classes, but then there are some instructions that are about to come to you. Please kindly listen carefully. If you don't have a pen and paper, go bring your pen and paper and make notes of it. Your teachers are again going to train you as to how you are supposed to sit in the online classes. It's going to be another round for you, but then this is going to be the primer round for you, okay? We were also thinking, children, and we were also thinking, parents, about facing a screen for a longer period. So that has been in my mind. Now we have got used to watching the screen for a longer time, but it is not good. We all know that. But we wanted to bring school home this time. So what we did is we designed a schedule like this. Where it's all innovative, and I'm going to talk about what kind of a schedule that we're going to have. Your online classes are really going to be fun. I'm going to tell you how and when in a minute. Where there will be a 10-minute break, children and parents, and you have to surely get up from your seats, not to sit long. Say after 40 minutes, if you have had a session for the last 40 minutes, you must get up from your chair. You will have to go visit your washrooms, drink some water, bring something, put it over there, and take your eyes off the screen is one of those suggestions that I want to give. And children, we're going to have one music every day. And the next day, probably we might have a story time. And one of those days, we're going to have aerobics. You're going to have your Prabita ma'am also for your language skills. So they're going to alternate with all these activities. So day one, we're going to plan for something. Day two, we're going to have something. And we'll have Sharbala ma'am coming into your classes, also sitting and watching, as well as giving you some kind of a training here and there. So I'm waiting to see those trainings to happen. Here I have to really appreciate HODs, area coordinators, Shilpa, Anjali, and the admin team. They have been a great support for what is about to happen from June 1st onwards. And the team at Lily also worked so hard. I don't know how we're going to bring all those pre-primary children, grade 1 children, and ask them to do onto the screens. Of course, they've got used to, because all the time that we're feeding our children, we put a screen. I know that they're used to, but then as an educationist, yeah, I'm worried a little bit, and I'm going to make their classes also fun is what I'm looking at. We as a team, a whole team, we worked day and night throughout April and May. Can you believe? While we were supposed to take a short break, at least a 10 days break, the whole team was working day and night, and there were different workshops. There were brainstormings that were happening around, and not one or two. And added to that, we have our own challenges that we had to face. But then, yeah, we are geared up. With all this that I'm talking about, we surely will have some initial hiccups. And I want you all to be with us, stand by us, and help us out to wade through the challenge that we have right in front of us. That's a humble request. Parents and children, don't panic for every little thing that's about to happen in the next few days. But all those problems will be rectified. I can give you that kind of an assurance. Now, children, this is one thing that you need to learn from me, and parents can also listen to this one. Children, you should have a workstation for yourself. This is how you are supposed to sit. I wish I brought all your things to show you. This is how. But then children below grade 2 won't be able to set up their workstations daily like what we want them to set up. But from grade 2 onwards, parents cannot intervene. They can just guide them and facilitate them to see that they build up their workstations. So little ones can be guided by their parents. But what are workstations now? A proper place where you can sit down with a chair and with your instrument or whatever technology that you have. It could be an iPad or a phone, or I prefer no small screens. I'm just about to tell you what kind of an app that we have taken for your online classes, which can also be used on your TVs. For some of you who do not have enough of instruments back at home, just put them onto this TV channels also, where you can connect your phone to the TV channels and they keep running and you can keep working with your phone. So coming back to what a workstation is, I'm sorry, I've been interrupted with something else. A proper place where you have your books, where you have your pencil stand or a pen stand, where you are equipped with all your stationery in it, and your books arranged properly as per the timetable, because after a few days you will get to understand what your timetable is going to look like. Every Saturday or every Friday we're going to post you the next week's timetable. So see that all your books are available, and even before the week starts off, you can just have everything that you need on your table. A small table, again, don't look for a magnificent table. I'm not looking at that. Just a small table, a workstation that if you can build. Even if you're sitting on your mat, it's okay for us children. Your neck shouldn't bend too much. That's it. The instruction is sit where you can sit straight with your backbone straight. That's it that we want. Put all your things around. That is a workstation, and you can have your notes ready. A rough notebook where you can have your running notes and make points. Children, this is one thing that I just wanted to let you know. It is a discipline that we are creating for ourselves now. Okay. Nobody is there to watch us. The most important thing that you will have to understand. We still should train ourselves to survive and yet be the fittest to learn to live for the future, which is crucial and important. And we will learn to use our time properly. Children, please be appropriately dressed for your online classes. You need to get up as usual. Say that June 1st I have school. I'm going to let you know your schedules. If you have your online classes beginning on 1st of June, we are also having a rehearsal class day after tomorrow. You will get a news about that also. But then June 1st, you will have to be appropriately dressed. I get a heart attack when I see some of those children coming very untidy to school. No, not allowed. You don't need to wear your school uniform, but I request you to be appropriately dressed and sit well with a water bottle, and whatever that you need, just keep it by your side. And remember, children, we are all getting back to school after 2 months. All right, that is already there in the schedule, so don't worry about it. Okay. This is another advice. If you think there's going to be too much of a noise, the pressure cooker sound, this and that, you can just close your doors, children. But please remember that you're never going to bolt your doors. Grade 10, grade 9, grade 8, grade 7, grade 6, grade 5, none of you will bolt your doors, because your parents should be able to enter into those rooms to just have a glance as to what is happening. They don't need to sit by your side. I request even a grade 2 kid's parent don't need to sit by their side, because it is really embarrassing for the children, because it's a teacher and student time. I request them to leave them to the screen, but at the same time have a vigilant check on them, which is crucial. Again, a humble request, don't embarrass the children also while you're doing that. And especially I got to hear that some of the higher grades children could not be genuine enough. Children, and I'm going to take a very serious action if you do that. I have 833. I'm just assuming that all my children are watching this, all my parents are watching this. I still have to have a bigger number than this. As usual, there is another 20% who is absent for the day, but I will still continue to do so. Children, I'm going to take very serious action if you do. Don't fiddle with anything that you want to. It is an important suggestion that I'm giving, and it is just not a suggestion, it is an order from Shakti. Please remember that. So request parents also to subtly watch the children without embarrassing them. And this is another time that I'm reiterating after every session today. Also, when I was talking to the teachers and the core team, I was telling them that they will have to give you that 10-minute break. Even if a teacher had come, if she's online already and if she's setting her table, she will give you that 10 minutes time, because we have scheduled your timetable in such a manner. So take that break and come back and sit back again on time. That is so very important and crucial. And if you think you just need another 1 minute or 2 minutes time, please stay. But then come back and sit back again to your session on time. We were also discussing when I was actually sitting for the demos with my teachers team. I also advised them to give one activity or two activities in between where, like, you don't need to always glue your eyes to the screen and listen and look at your teacher. You can just have, or that is what I suggested, and you're going to have these kind of activities also in between where a teacher is going to ask you to just draw a diagram where you are shifting your eyes from, like, the screen to the, excuse me, I'm sorry, screen to the book again. And if they ask you to bring certain things from your kitchen, say if a science teacher is asking you to just go bring your mustard seeds from, ask mama to go give you some mustard seeds, or ask mama to give you mustard seeds. So these kind of activities we were planning, and so you can have that kind of a time, but remember to come back and sit again. So that this is all just to see that your screen time is going to be a little less. Whatever work your teachers are giving, please oblige and see that you accomplish them, and understand that is only for your benefit, children. Don't fiddle with anything. You're going to have so many things and nobody is watching you. Please post your questions and doubts after your lessons are done. For example, if your lesson has been done, do not post in between, or do not chat in between saying, ma'am, can you? If you can post soon after the session is done, there's another teacher who's going to assist the teacher who's going to take up a session. So those teachers are actually going to write all of them, and we're going to address all those questions back again. Just because you have your instruments in hands, I humbly plead with you not to go from one side to another side. You're not allowed to do that. Children, just be cautious about that. This is for your benefit, and we are asking you again and again with the same thing, because now self-discipline is something important. Have you seen what had happened outside? Was anybody prepared for what has happened? Now the fittest will survive. That way, like, when things come, like, when everything is closed, kind of like where everything is bad, I just want Celestians and Lillians, like, to stand out there, for they have disciplined themselves. Nobody from outside had influenced you. You have disciplined yourself. When you shouldn't, like, run from one side to another, you shouldn't run. What session has been posted to you, that session you will stick to. Now you have the privilege of nobody checking you, so you can discipline yourself. To explore, to find our own mistakes, refresh and renew, and working hard should become our lifestyle. I appeal to the parents. I really appeal to the parents to develop children to become independent on their way during the next 2 months also. There's a phrase which goes on, train them when they are young and they will pave their way for better and valuable living. So I think we all know that. Again, values are increasingly becoming individual parents. Values are values. A truth is a truth, a lie is a lie. That is how I want my life to be, and I strive hard. It's not that I'm a perfect woman. We all need to strive so hard, like, to be the best. Saying, like, truthful to myself. There's one humble request, children. I know we are all kind of, most of us, like, some of us think twice before we speak, but some of us, this is just not to children, adults like me also, we will have to think twice before we talk, and be respectful and show your reverence to your God-given gurus. Just don't crack jokes and do and talk and say whatever you want during the session. So just be careful about that. If I get to know, especially if I get to know any of those higher classes children, if you are being not reverent to your teachers, I will have to ban you from the classes. I'm very strict about this. It's a blessing for us to be reverent towards each other. If there is a part of a concept or a lesson, as I always keep telling you, if you haven't understood, please listen. You must go back to your teachers, post a question and say, ma'am, please kindly explain us so-and-so concept again. And they would be willing. I know that. I'm very confident about the people that I'm working with. And teachers, I also request in the same manner to be patient enough, like usual with your kids. And if need arises, you can have your lessons being taught once again for those kids. Probably not this whole lesson, but 1 or 2 concepts. And request children to concentrate and be vigilant about your sessions. Please do not blame anybody for your loss. You will have to be responsible about your loss now. Be careful about that. And coming to the little ones' parents, let's be just the facilitators is what I would advise. And training the children to become responsible is one of the most important things. At school, in the lower classes, we actually train them. As soon as those children come, we wish them a good morning and then say, like, children, you need to put your bags there, bring your almanac, put it on the table, where's your homework, please submit it. So we keep reminding them on a daily basis. One day we say, and then the next day we forget. No, we do this on a regular basis. And now we say, like, line up, children, let's go to the assembly. And it's not that we'll have to bring all those kids one by one. There will be just 2 or 3 kids who are not able to follow, and those we need to assess. But then children are independent. Children are good at following instructions. So lower classes children, I think parents, you can just be facilitators about them. For them, I'm sorry. In the same manner, I request my little tiny ones also to be responsible and kindly sit 2 months, and I'm going to meet you there. And imagine, I haven't even met, or my teachers team did not meet grade 1 children, and they're supposed to give a session. I don't know. This is going to be the new normal, I suppose. I don't know. Let's wait and see. Now it's time to listen even more carefully. The online sessions will begin from June 1st. For grades 6 to 10, while you'll get this again as a message, I'm just letting you know. June 1st, grades 6 to 10. Please make a note. June 1st, 9 o'clock, 6 to 10. June 3rd, 2 to 5. And we will only begin with short academic periods for them. Say we have 2 main periods for the first few days with 1 activity period. We will slowly increase them to the normal 5 period plus 1, where they're going to have their academics as well as 1 activity period. So that is on June 3rd, 2 to 5. June 8th, we will have our sessions begin for grade 1. Please make a note. Grade 1 parents, a big warm welcome to all of you. I don't know how many of you have seen me, but I take this platform, this media, to wish you all a very, very good evening, and my love to all of you. I'm going to talk about certain other things a little later, but since my children are sitting here, I'm just being formal, and a warm welcome to all of you. So June 8th, parents of grade 1, your sessions will begin 9 o'clock. And 10th June, a pre-primary of both Lily and Cornerstone will start off their sessions. Imagine my nursery kid and my PP1 kid, like, they need big screens. And if there are big screens, even if they're running a little bit around, that'll be okay. But we'll have to wait and see as to what kind of facilities we're able to provide. Yeah. And the timetables will be sent shortly, or they will get to know, or you will get to know on day 1 for that week. No, we are planning to send it across on Saturday. For the coming week. So that is how the plan is going to remain. It's going to remain the same. You will have n number of doubts, but I request you to be patient enough for a little while until we all settle down on the platform that we are about to take. In case if we haven't addressed any of those issues, you always have a chance, like, to get back to us through a mail. So please mail us, we'll surely address. As much as possible, we'll address all the 100 problems that we have. If there is 1 or 2 problems, we'll get back and we'll tell you this was not really possible. And reopening of school physically will go by the orders of the government, and it will happen phase-wise. That is what we are waiting and anticipating as to what will happen. Now, children, can you all leave those rooms and get back to your play, or get back to some other room? You can take your toys along, take a book along, and start writing about how you have survived through this COVID-19. What was your family experience? When we get back to school, I'm going to see a lot of them, and I'm going to put it on my poster, my display board. Okay, children, you can go inside now. I give some time for the children to. There are 875 parents, 876. I only wish I had that full number, because at least all those who are listening, I would want you all to pass on this information. Just hoping. Grade 9 and 10 children, you can sit down there, you can listen to what I'm talking, absolutely no problem. But then I would request all the children to leave those rooms. I'm giving you another half a minute's time. thank you, parents, for being cooperative in sending your children to some other rooms of your place. Thank you. And if there is anybody else, please kindly shift your children to another room. Thanks so much. I might go a little emotional at this point of time. I'll still try and be calm, but with folded hands, I thank all those parents who stood by us during this trauma. And the moment that we sent an announcement as some message about fee payment and all that, I'm not very good with numbers, but today I'm taking this platform because Solomon sir had supported me in making me understand the numbers. I was a layman just like all of you, but today Solomon sir had actually paved a pavement for me to make me understand, like, he said, like, Sharmila, now you'll also have to understand what the budgeting is all about. You should understand where we are spending every money. While I know that I'm working amidst honest people, today I know exactly where the school's money is going. So I'm confident enough to talk about the numbers also, which I've never done it in my room. So today, once again, I thank all the moment the message went, I got to hear that most of you have come to school and paid your fees. From the bottom of my heart, I really, 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 really thank you, parents. I can't thank you enough. And Ishwari was actually conversing with Solomon sir. I usually don't listen to all those conversations because I am a little emotional, and I want to be emotional because that is how I find myself to be good with my children. So when Solomon sir was having discussions with Ishwari ma'am, most of the discussions were really positive. They were lifting us up. So how can I not take this platform to thank that kind of parents? And parents, all those who have done that, I'm thanking you. On behalf of Solomon sir also, I'm thanking you. Some of them, this is something like that I'm listening from Solomon sir only. It seems some of them had come and should we pay the transport also? And then Ishwari said, if you can pay, sir. And then automatically, without asking a second question, not because that they have had a huge bank balance, they just paid, saying, yes, we understand the drivers also need to be paid, their salaries have to be paid. So without asking a second question, they just paid the whole amount and went away. And the way that they were actually supporting the school, that was a huge thing on us. We were taking challenges after challenges. We were in a dilemma. How would we even be able to do in this kind of a crisis, But those were the parents who had boosted us up so much, and my joy goes up to them. And it's as if I'm sitting in your family, in your halls, and thanking you, personally shaking your hands. Thank you so much, parents. While we had those kind of parents, we also had some more males. There were just a few, say 10% of them, but we are all human beings, and especially like a person like me, where I'm emotional and I'm attached to the work that I'm doing, I would go a little emotional. We have the GO to pay only the tuition fees, so we would pay just the tuition fees, we won't pay anything else. Was also some of those versions that we have had. Yes, some of those, when we saw those males coming, we understood. We understand the loss of job. We understand some of them not being paid fully. We understand the kind of a crisis that we all went through. But then out of those, some of them were kind of threatening. Okay, so how do I take that now? Okay. I'll just tell you a little more about that. Parents, at this point of time, while I'm glancing through, I also wanted to tell you, parents, there were times, I always told you, some of those close parents that I have, I always told you, we have faced a very huge challenge for the last few years. I've told you many a times. And on all this process, there were big shots who had come, and then they asked us to move away from the school so that they would show us how much of a profit that the schools can make. We took that challenge, parents. Because of the word that we have given in 2009, parents, we are running this challenge. We are not walking, we are running. Running on thorns, running on bushes, running on stones, parents, probably with bare feet. But we want to stand in this challenge of ours, because both the schools, if you look at it, they are more or less like, like non-profitable schools, parents. I'm a witness for it. I'm a witness for it. There were so many storms that we have gone through for the last 14 years, but we stood still there. I was talking about the teachers, parents. Parents, you won't believe, teachers did not complain a bit, parents. They did not complain a bit for the kind of a strain that we have put. Mornings, they will have to show me a demo. Nights, they were struggling really hard, like, to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. Some of them, for example, third language teachers and all of them, how will they even prepare a PowerPoint presentation? They sat through to prepare a PowerPoint presentation. They had their chores just like all of us, like, to fulfill back at home. They had their own children that they had to take care of. It was their actually a vacation time, but then they did not complain a bit. This morning I was talking to one of those teachers, Vani teacher, I suppose. Ma'am, we have learned a lot, ma'am. What kind of a joy that is to meet another human being instead of like, having that kind of a strain. Comes back and tells me, ma'am, we have learned a lot, ma'am. What kind of a joy, ma'am, put to. I'm not telling stories, parents. I'm just talking about the facts. And of all the challenges that I'm facing, the teams that I have created, I know that they trust the institution so much because they have a transparent view of what we are doing. They will still stand by us even when there are days that we are not able to meet their expectations. I know that. They have been working day and night. Money will always be a second importance for school parents. But one should understand every year there will be an increase of the payments. This time, when all the schools are working on platforms that come for free or whatever, that had announced free, just because the survey that we have made about how it's going to work, what kind of shortcomings that these what should I say, platforms have, we went and searched for so much, and there are just two very good schools which are using this platform that we are about to use, which is called as Code Tantra, which is developed by our own Hyderabadis parents, I should tell you. And they actually started working with the government and the government schools also. This we have purchased, we paid a price to get this to our children. I'll have to tell you that. Just because we didn't want to compromise in giving the best of the online classes. And this will work. That is what they promised us. We just have to wait and see. We also checked from our side, like, this is working even with 2G parents. That is special about Code Tantra. And our teachers have gone 2 weeks of training. They have prepared PowerPoint presentations as to which we're going to send it across to you, which tells how to operate that also. So that is what we are doing for you. And then we are working on all this. Just recently, a few days back, I suppose, I saw, I'm sharing all this to you because this I treat as a family and I want to stay a member in this family. There would be miscommunication, misunderstandings. There would be arguments that we'll have here and there as a family, but we remain united. That is the speciality of a family. What God had united, man cannot separate. So our families also. So I would learn to live in those principles, and I would want to stay. I'm sharing this because it's a heart attack for me. I've never come to all of you together like this to share any. I keep meeting some of those parents. Very few parents know me. Very few know my principles. And sometimes they go here and then we call them back again to our rooms to sit and talk with them. In the process, I saw a shocking video which one of our team members had sent. That was actually sent to somebody else, but then somehow I got to take that and I had to watch it. It's a grade 2 parent, and he shoots a video right in front of the child who was moving around to tell that the rate of books had been changed by using something, a black mark, which put me to an utter shock, because I know the people that I'm working with are genuine. People, anybody who needs to help the other things of school, we usually check them 101 times. Go and find out from the books vendor or from our uniforms sale what kind of a threat that Sharmila is for them. Just go find out. We check them again and again just to see, like, that they are right with their attitude. That is more important. So the rate was changed. That was a shock to me, because that was the first time that I was actually watching something like that, and I didn't know what to do. So we dug it up so much that we immediately called up the books vendor, and we got to hear. We were quite sure, like, he hasn't done. And then when we got assured, like, that he hasn't done, we went back to the publishers to check who would do this. And then we got to understand if the books are kept with the publishers or with the book kind of a people, not the vendors I'm talking about, with the publishers themselves, for 8 months or so, government has given them permission to raise the price of the book by an 8%. Not we, not any of us. It is the government's rule that they can change it to another 8%. So where am I involved in it? Where is the school involved in it? You tell me, parents. I have a load of good parents there. I know that. For just 1 or 2 parents, I'm not going to lose my hope. That is what I want to tell you. Yeah, it is a little agonizing. I'm telling, every year we had issues with the books, book sale or whatever. Every time I had to take that temperament of the parents because of the money and all that, which I really don't like. The uniform sale this year, that means last year in June itself, we insisted all the vendors to have their own stores outside. From here onwards, school is not going to entertain any store in the school. If I'm really, like, exhausted about doing what I'm doing, I would ask, or I would give you a list of books. You can buy them anywhere you want. I'm telling you, you can buy them anywhere you want. That arrangement, you will have to make it yourself. But if you can come back and tell me, no ma'am, we want a bookstore or a book vendor where we can procure books, please, only then I will make those arrangements. I request some of those parents to work hand in hand. I love to have difference of opinions and I respect them, but then not too much of a debate where we are losing our integrity. That is more important. Never pointing fingers at each other. Now tell me, I made a list and I've looked, I can't show it, but then, okay, fine, it's okay. Do I have to pay my aunties? Do I have to pay my teachers? Do I have to pay my drivers? Do I have to pay the security? Do I have to pay the buildings, two buildings rent, the campus rent? Should I pay? What about the parking rents, building maintenance, electricity bills, property tax? I think you must be paying. Yes. Smart school boards, gardening, vehicle maintenance, RTA charges, fitness certification, insurance of vehicles. Every 5 years, we have to change that bus to give a better bus for my child. And you know the transport system is one of the best systems. Even the RTA people, the officials had come to school to appreciate the school buses that we have and the way that we maintain the school buses. Is it not a proud moment for us as a family? Okay. EMI of buses, should I pay? Provident funds, ESI. Now, setting up of online classes. And when the original sessions back at school, when they start off, should I keep the school ready, COVID-19 free? You only tell me, sirs. Ma'ams, please. Probably we have to run after this phase-wise. Say, like, we are running school for 15 students, and there are another 15 students who are taking up online classes. Those children who are taking up online classes might have to come to the school the next day, and we would have alternate days working, or if we have to work morning and evening or morning and afternoon sessions, the buses have to ply twice. The teachers, they're strained. One of us will stand up and talk for say 2 hours or 3 hours and check if our throat will work the next day. Parents, how can we be so mean to them? You decide. I have my budget here, parents. If you're coming to my room, we will just spread that across to you. You can see that. I just don't want to talk too much about it because I think this should be good. Parents, when I got to see those groups that you have, parents, it brought about a real pain in my heart, parents. Discuss them for something good, parents. Management here, I can 100% say, will not eat money of yours. We cannot do that. We just don't want to do that. I'm sorry. With pleated hands, I'm telling you. Not this year, in no year. Me and Solomon sir, we sit down and talk to each other. If there is a little sufficient fund one of those years, we can just give a little extra money for aunties. Probably we can just make a space for them to live. If there is some more money, we will want to share it with the parents. This is what we talk, parents, honestly speaking. I'm not lying. I'm saying the truth. And there are times when we sat down and said, talk to ourselves, the first year, in spite of government asking us to increase 12% to 15%, that is what they ask us to increase every year. First year of Cornerstone, after the 1 year of running, we just took 9% of increment the next year. In spite of having that scale of 12 to 15, we took 9%. The next year, we brought it to 8%. The next year, yes, 7%. And we are trying, what benefit that we can do for our society. We will do, parents. You will have to just wait and watch. There are 1,350 parents who are waiting and wanting to see the school run smoothly. There are just a few parents, say 100 or 150 parents who are trying to bring about one after the other. You want the school to go? It's up to you. It's in your hands. You decide tonight. Sit in a calm mind, peace mind. You decide. If my child is benefiting from the school, there are so many other schools, parents. But today night, sit down. If my child is benefiting, but because of your non-benefit of the school, because of what you have thought, don't disturb the other parents who are already there, the other children who are already existing in the school. They want the school to run. And I plead with holy hands, please do not disturb the running of the school. This I never wanted to do, but I had to do because of all the kind of pressure that we have had for the last 1 month, along with what other things that we were having. And there is absolutely, we are not people who want to cross the lines, border lines, and say no, we are not going for. If there is anybody who's any kind of a difficulty, come back and talk to us, but be genuine to yourself. Tell us, ma'am, this month onwards, I don't have a job. Tell us, be honest. But just to back up with some more money, we should not be doing this. No. Your children are getting the best benefit out of school. So think about it. And it's only a request again. I have nothing to do with what I said just now. It is all for you. You decide. You decide what you want to do. Thank you so much. And my love to all of you as usual. Nothing will change in that. I love you and I will continue to love you. Thank you for this platform of YouTube. And I'm so glad I could come and meet you all. And it's been a very tiresome day for all of us. So we'll get back, we'll rest. Don't mind of all that I said. Just rest in peace. Eat a nice dinner. And then we'll get back to school after 2 months or so, whenever our government asks us to come back to school. Thank you and have a good night. My love to you.